A lotus is a flower rooted in the mud that rises through and above to become a beautiful bloom. This is a podcast sharing mine and other stories of how we've done the same, choosing to rise above our circumstances to bloom. I'm your host, Amber. Let's get started. I'm here with KJ, Kimberly June, and this is actually our first time meeting. It always feels kind of funny because I'm like, I know who you are, but you don't know who I am.
I know. We just met like 30 seconds ago.
Yep. I actually found you. I saw you open for Naco, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this girl's music and just the way that you talked and everything. And so I started following you, and you made a post not too long ago. I guess it was like 6 months ago or so. Just telling a little bit about your story. And I just thought, man, this is something that I can relate to. And I'm sure that a lot of other people could relate to as well. And I always think it's super brave when people tell what could be considered like the dark moments of their stories, because I think it's important for people to know how many other people are going through something similar and to see what they did with that situation. And I think for me and my story, just a little bit of background, I grew up with parents in addiction and being homeless and eventually being raised by my grandparents. And so for a really long time, I carried like a lot of shame, and I didn't tell my story because I was worried about judgment. And then the older that I got and the more that I talked about it, I realized like how many other people have lived a similar story, and also how important it was for other people to hear that, but then for me in my healing to share that story. And so I would love, if you don't mind, to share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into more specifically the post that you shared that I thought was beautiful.
Sounds good. First of all, I want to say you have a really great podcasting voice.
Oh, thank you.
You sent me a voice memo on my way here, and I listened to it, and I was like, oh, wow, that's very podcasty.
Thanks.
So I'm originally from Maine, and I grew up in a family that looked perfect on the outside, and there was a lot of underlying, self-betrayal going on. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up in this environment that felt incongruent, and I basically learned at a very young age to keep my feelings to myself and live life on the surface. Mm-hmm. And any sort of talk about deep feelings was just not something that happened a lot in my family.
Yeah.
Mostly my dad. He grew up as one of 10 kids.
Oh my gosh.
So feelings,
there's no time for that.
No time for feelings.
Yeah.
And so I grew up feeling very, very deeply and swallowing it. I actually remember one of my earliest memories. I was probably 4 years old watching The Fox and the Hound, and needed to cry. And I just hid it and swallowed it. And I remember feeling the pain in my chest of swallowing the feelings. Oh, wow. And I did that for most of my life. I never cried in front of people. And I think I hate saying this, but the world taught me how to be a liar, is the way I put it.
Yeah.
I just started living a secret life of being a very sensitive, artistic, creative person. On the inside, and on the outside, I was trying to live a very practical life by the books. I wanted my family to be proud of me. And no one in my extended family did art as a career or anything. So music felt like a hobby, and I would have to choose something more practical and be a lawyer or a scientist or something. We have a lot of engineers in the family as well. So yeah, that's a little bit of my background. I grew up in Maine until I was 6, moved to Massachusetts until I was 11, and then my family moved to the Dominican Republic.
Oh, whoa.
When I was just turning 12 years old.
Okay.
And I went to junior high and high school in the Dominican Republic as one of the only gringas in my school. Sorry, I got to clear my throat.
Very good.
I just drank a bunch of coffee. And it's dry here.
It is so
I'm
dry
not
here.
used
I
to
know.
this. Yeah. So yeah, we moved to the Dominican Republic when I was 12, and I it was a culture shock, obviously being from New England. We hadn't gone anywhere except Disney World. So um and all the other white kids in my school were missionary kids.
Okay.
There was maybe a handful of them.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a missionary kid and I wasn't Dominican. So I always felt like an outsider.
Yeah.
When I was, as soon as I turned 18, moved to Boston for 2 years for college, was in denial about following a music career. Again, swallowing what I wanted in order to live a practical life. And after 1 week of going to Suffolk University for liberal arts because I couldn't choose,
Yeah.
I called my parents crying and said, I'm so sorry, but I have to do music. And I was anticipating this, them being super worried about me. And they both were like, cool, sounds good. So
Man.
it was all in my head.
Yeah.
And I
as most things
transferred,
are.
yeah, to not Belmont, Berklee College of Music first. Went there for 1 year and then transferred to Belmont University in Nashville.
Wow.
So I ended up doing music, and I always say music chose me. I didn't choose it, because any time in my life that I'm following music, my life just goes so smoothly. And anytime I stray away from it, it starts to fall apart. So I just know that this is my path.
Yeah. I love that. What took you to, because you're in Hawaii now, what took you to Hawaii?
Oh boy. So I have so many, I've lived so many lives in my 37 years, but in Nashville, I was very ambitious. And when I want something, I get it. I'm very, if I truly, truly want something and I focus my energy on it, I seem to always get what I want. And I found that out at a young age too. How powerful I am in both directions if I'm following what I want and also when I'm going against it. It's just, I feel very responsible for everything in my life.
Oh, I love that.
Radical responsibility. And so I wanted a publishing deal really bad. And I started with an internship before I was even allowed to have an internship, because I just walked into a publishing company and asked for one.
Yeah.
And they didn't know I wasn't getting credit, and the college didn't know I was even doing it. So it's just like one step ahead,
Yeah.
And then as soon as I graduated, I got a publishing deal with the company I had been working for. The internship turned into a job. My senior year, I was going to night classes and opening the publishing company every morning.
Sheesh.
And just worked really hard and soaked up everything, and was just surrounded by amazing mentors and the pros. And I got a publishing deal when I was 23, I think.
Wow.
Or 22. It was in 2011.
Yeah.
And that same year, I also got married. So I wanted to settle down, do everything that I thought I was supposed to do. We had a beautiful house, 2 dogs. We both had publishing deals. He was with Sony, and I was with a smaller indie company. And my life looked absolutely perfect on the outside, and I found myself anxious, depressed, miserable underneath all of it, which was so confusing to me, because I had done everything right, And so the last year that I was in Nashville in my early 20s, I was 24 years old. It was one of the hardest years of my life, because I could not figure out how to get out of the situation I had gotten myself into. And on the outside, it was like I got everything I wanted, and I just was so unhappy.
And that's probably, for me, I would feel like, okay, if I did all the things and I said this is what I wanted and this is what I should want, and it looks so perfect, and I decide to change it, then what am I going to go after? Like, I don't know. I feel like that would be confusing.
Oh yeah, it was. And I also, so when you choose music as a life path, there's no blueprint for it that is guaranteed to work for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like in the music industry, it's laid out as, you know, you get a publishing deal or you get a record deal, depending whether you want to be a writer or an artist. And the path to success is like getting something on the radio and getting public recognition, and the artistry and the creativity part of it just becomes so commercialized
Mm.
in this box.
Mhm.
And I felt like everything I was turning in, my publisher would say, this is great, but this is a KJ song and not sure I can do anything with this.
Yeah.
And so I just felt discouraged because I was also very um I I was hiding the fact that I wanted to be an artist and in denial about it because I was comparing myself to everybody there who's
Mhm.
amazing. Best singers and songwriters and guitar players in Nashville, and I'm surrounded by them, and I felt like I sucked.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just want to be a writer. And after a while, realized that I am an artist and that we if I compared myself to other people, there's healthy comparison.
Right.
I have to know where I am compared to everybody else to see if I even stand a chance.
Mhm.
And from a young age, I knew that I had a gift for writing. So even though I wasn't the best guitar player or singer, I knew that my writing was excellent and that the package deal was going to get me somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's what kept me confident. And I've been underestimated a lot in my life. I don't know if I just came off meek or just looked normal or whatever, but I
Yeah.
feel like my whole life people have underestimated me, and I kind of love it because I like to shock and surprise people.
Yeah. That surprise. Pow.
Yeah. Yeah, like, by the way, I'm little, but I'm mighty.
Yep.
So that's the long story. So I decided that at some point I had to walk away from this marriage that I had gotten into. I still was figuring out who I was. Of course, I was in my
Yeah.
mid-20s.
Yeah.
And I had married somebody very safe and practical, and I am a wild person. And I just like to take risks and try new things, and I love tattoos, and it felt like every time I was just trying to be myself and express myself, I was not being celebrated and accepted for that.
Mhm.
And I would look at other couples who went and got tattoos together, and I'm like, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I'd show up at home with a tattoo and it would be like, what are you doing? Oh my gosh. Like, and he's actually an amazing person and we're still friends. And I think it's pretty obvious at this point why we didn't work out. If you
Mhm.
look at both of our lives, we're just such different people.
Yeah.
And so I felt really ashamed of leaving my marriage and my publishing deal, which I asked out of 1 year early because I just got writer's block. I I think I just was living so out of alignment that I
Mhm.
could not write anymore from that survival mode.
Yeah.
And so I quit both of those things and I felt like a dog with my tail between my legs and just was like, I need to get out of this town for a little bit. And I had been invited to Hawaii a couple times, once by a classmate who was an intern of mine at the publishing company,
Mhm.
and another friend from Maine. Our dads went to high school together, and they both happened to live in Hawaii and invited me out several times. And in my mind at the time, I was just living in this bubble, the Nashville bubble,
Mhm.
and it seemed impossible for me to ever get to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, right. Like I'll probably never go there. And then when I when everything fell apart, I became yes man. And I just started saying yes to everything
I
and
love
facing
that.
so many fears. Um, so I was just buying plane tickets. Went skydiving. I like all the things that I was terrified of.
Yeah.
I was afraid of fish, which is really funny. And as soon as I got to Hawaii, I started working on a boat and I was the one leading the snorkel guides,
Oh man.
snorkel tours, guiding them, swimming with dolphins and huge manta rays and things. And
That's
it
so
was
cool.
like all of a sudden I felt like I had nothing left to lose because I had already fucked everything up.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly. Just all the risks that I never took all came out in my mid-20s. And I felt like I made up for the lost time of feeling like I had to grow up so fast
Mm-hmm.
and take life so seriously. And then in when my mid-20s, I just started having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And underneath all the fun was when I was realized that on the outside I was living this awesome fun time. I was laughing a lot. I was partying a lot. I was meeting really cool people, but I couldn't escape the um the the anxiety and depression that was still bubbling deep within me
Mm-hmm.
that came out eventually when I hit rock bottom, leaving some bad relationship.
Yeah.
So,
I think that two parts about that. One, I think it's really cool that like even the fact that you were afraid of fish and so you decided to get a job with your face right in front of fish. Um, I think that that sets it's wild how sometimes we'll be going through the motions or we're dealing through so much chaos and we're making these choices and we're trying to conquer fears. And then later on in life, there's these little underlying strings that we're like, that we can carry with us of, oh, I was afraid of that. And so I decided to face it head on. And maybe you realized that at the time and maybe you didn't, but it's a really cool, like even in chaos, that's something that's really cool to carry through of like, okay, I did this once in chaos. And now that you're becoming at peace or learning more about yourself or getting comfortable and understanding your emotions and healing some of the things, you can still carry that little piece with you. But then the other thing that I think is really interesting that I think is super, super common, and I feel like I have done myself, is that you're having a good time on the surface. And there's no denying, like, I have so many good memories, like with my roommates, and we would party all the time and we would go out together and I was having fun and I wasn't actually healing what the root cause was. And I don't know if this happened for you, but for me, it got to a point where eventually it just kind of imploded on itself. And I had to look at all of it.
oh yeah.
And so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I couldn't keep running from it because wherever you go, there you are.
Exactly. I was totally thinking that while you were talking.
Yeah. And it was when I had dated somebody. I always chose really nice guys
Mhm.
and people that my parents loved and safe relationships.
Mhm.
And which was great. But then when I had hit rock bottom in Nashville and moved to Hawaii, I felt like I had disappointed everybody. I felt so unworthy
Mhm.
that I ended up in such a terrible relationship where I wasn't being
Mhm.
treated properly from day one.
Wow.
And everybody who knew him before me would this should have been a telltale sign. They would like look at me and look at him and be like so confused.
Yeah.
They're like, he doesn't deserve you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Just
What do
like
you
trying to play
mean?
stupid, you know?
Yeah.
And then eventually it brought out the absolute worst in me. Um, and I also think there was a part of me too that I became like a bad girl when I was in Nashville
Yeah.
because the music industry makes you you have to have thick skin.
Mhm.
And people say things, but they don't mean it. People don't follow through with things. Um, there's just so much. People will butter you up because they want something from you. Um,
Mhm.
Especially a young girl in the music industry trying to make it is easy prey for all of the
Yeah.
older guys with the unlimited credit cards and their job positions, you know. And
Yeah.
um, I felt I felt like my all my chakras were sealed shut.
You're just like, we're on
Yeah,
lockdown.
exactly. I was just
Oh.
so closed closed off when I lived there. And then when I got to Hawaii, it is such a healing place. I don't
Mhm.
think you can't not heal when you're there in some
Yeah.
way. Um and also I moved to a small town after being in the city. Living in a city, you can get away with being shitty.
Yeah.
And when you are in a small town, you really have to you don't things won't slide.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
have to have a good reputation. And so when I got to Kona, I walked really fast. People would be like, KJ don't got time. And I got my truck keyed in the first like month of living there. And I had no idea why.
Yeah.
But it was the energy I was giving off apparently was just a little too East Coast, a little bit abrasive, fast paced. I was like, like I said, if I want something, I'm just like A to B, and I would like plow people over in the way.
Yeah.
And now I've learned how to chill out and just be more gentle and just, find balance. And I can realize when I'm moving too fast.
I think that's interesting that you say that, as far as, especially with the music industry, and how people are kind of looking at it of like, what can I get out of this? And if that's where you're learning about the world and yourself, it would be really hard. I mean, I would just start assuming that no one knew how to be sincere. You were never going to get to know anyone's authentic self, and every friendship or relationship was very surfacey. And then to jump from that to a place where people are leading with their heart and everybody is family and we care about each other and like, let's really get to know each other and probably people have your back. That would be such a culture shock. And I feel like for me, if I were to jump from that Nashville music industry to then the Hawaii chill, laid back, I would be like, what's real?
Oh yeah, totally. It definitely took a while to get used to it. And I had to work through a lot of karma. And I don't know if I would have ever even taken responsibility for the karma that I've generated in my life unless I had that giant pause, basically. When I moved there, I didn't intend to move there. I went thinking I'd be there for 2 months, and I had a guitar in a suitcase, and I thought I was quitting music because the only path laid out for me for music was the music industry. And it wasn't until I just started playing music for fun again that I realized, like, there's no way I can quit this.
Yeah.
And we need music everywhere.
Yeah.
So if, so many people in Nashville think they're failing their careers, and it's like, no, actually you could move anywhere and have a really successful music career. And it doesn't have to look like, selling out or sounding like everybody else or getting a hit song on the radio. Everybody now can just release stuff.
Well, and the definition of success is different for each person. So like someone in Nashville might think, oh, I need to be Tim McGraw, to be successful. And then there's other people who are like, dude, I'm successful if people are dancing to my music in the bar on the beach. So
Exactly. And I have to remind myself, I mean, today I always think about the small things I can be grateful for. That was a huge practice that dug me out of my depression hole, was just noticing the small things. And I'm like, okay, I just woke up after 12 hours of sleep since I flew over on a red-eye flight. And I'm drinking 100% Kona coffee at a fireplace in a ski-on, ski-off condo that I got for a steal in Park City. I'm going to do a podcast interview that feels really aligned with, my mission. And then I get to play music tonight in Park City during Sundance.
So cool.
Like, my life is incredible. I am successful.
Yeah.
And I feel that. And it doesn't matter how many people know my name or, I'm like grateful if I have 20 people show up at a show.
Yeah. You know what's funny that you say that is actually right before this, I was talking to Bart that does all the editing and everything. And we were talking about algorithms and stuff. And I was like, honestly, I think I've been doing this podcast for a little over 2 years. In December or last month, it was 2 years. And I think the thing that's kept me going is having the attitude of like, I don't really care how many people listen to this podcast. I don't care if I'm mentioned on the Today Show or if I have 70,000 downloads or whatever. Like, all I care about is I get to have these really cool conversations. They're honestly like feed my soul. And if one person once every 6 months says, hey, I heard this episode and I really loved it, I'm like, that's why I'm doing it. Is if somebody gets something out of the one thing or gets one little nugget out of an episode that I did, I'm like, that's my purpose.
Even if it's just one person,
Yeah.
I feel the same way. If I get like a one reply or comment on something on Instagram, I'm just like, perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
yeah.
I did want to talk about, so we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but the post that you made I thought was really, really cool because you were talking about how you on the surface thought you were having all of this fun. You were partying and you had the tab at the bar and everything, but you mentioned how yoga saved your life. So would you mind just sharing like how you got into that and how that expanded into your life?
Yeah. I always say there's like a very, very definitive line in the sand where my life before yoga felt like sleepwalking.
Yeah.
And my life after yoga, I feel like I've been fully wide awake to life. And I'm so grateful for that. I think I was 27.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 27 years old. And I had just moved to Honolulu to get away from the same old same in Kona. I had been living there for a couple of years and was getting out of this relationship. And that was probably the pettiest time of my life. I was so petty.
I think we all have that phase.
Yeah. I'm going to move this closer just in case. Yeah, just playing the victim role and just angry at this person, even though I knew they couldn't meet me where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the responsibility I'm talking about. A lot of times people will blame the other person, and it's like, well, we have a choice. We can keep entertaining it or we can walk away.
Yep.
And then it's also complicated because you have attachments,
Mm-hmm.
and that's your karma.
Yeah.
It's like trying to get away from it. I felt like I had to physically get away from it. So I went to Honolulu, and just before I left, I had a friend. He was an angel in my life at the time. He was teaching me how to take care of myself, Jesse. And he, it was like I was barely eating, and he would force me to eat food. And one morning he was like, let's do yoga on the porch. And I had never done yoga before. And he just guided me. And he was like, oh, you're strong. You got this. You can do this. And he was just like super encouraging. And at that time, it was just a physical practice.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the mental benefits of it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I tried it and I like was breathing after and I noticed how good I felt, I became obsessed. I started going every single day. Yeah. And it was the only time of the day where I could sort my thoughts out, and I would cry a lot in the yoga class. Upside down, downward dog tears going
in your forehead.
Yeah, exactly. Snot getting in my eyes, like, yeah. And then started going every single day, and the physical benefits were really great. But what I noticed the most is that I was having really great conversations with myself when I was in yoga. And I could catch when I was being, when I was angry or petty or blaming somebody or, and I would be like, oh, just rid me of these feelings. I don't want to feel this anymore. And it just helped me sort everything out in my life. And I just spent so much time that year really just getting honest with myself and noticing the patterns in my life. And just, I was like, am I always going to be this crazy and wild? Am I ever going to be able to live a normal life? Am I ever going to be able to be with one person? Am I ever going to find somebody who can even keep up with me? And it was just a time of getting super intimate with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, eventually I had to stop running. I had to figure out what is causing all of this, because I don't want to live like this forever. It's like you get sick of your own shit to the point where it's like you have to pick yourself up by the shirt and get real with yourself.
Yeah. I love too what you said about kind of recognizing the role that you played in a lot of it. I think that's so important. That was a huge I don't know what the word is. That was a big thing for me, is like taking ownership of what role did I play in this, even if it's something as simple as just saying I chose to be in the room. And I think for me, like, also it became a huge thing in healing, as far as like, okay, there's only so much I can control. And I can't control what other people are doing as much as I want. But I can control how I react or how I handle the healing in the role that I played in this situation. So like if I'm having an argument with somebody, okay, well, I'm the one who said this, this, and this that made them say this, this, and this, or, whatever, like just recognizing your own choice and the role that you played in it, takes you out of that victim mindset. And that's where the healing can really start, is when you take ownership of like, okay, here's the role that I played. Here's what I can control. And what am I going to do with it?
Totally.
Yeah.
Even now, my energy sometimes, I don't even notice it, because it's just, I grew up in New England in a fast-paced environment. I walk fast, I talk fast, and I was leaving Maui after playing a show recently and just trying to put my guitar in the overhead bin, and this woman took the last space that my guitar would fit in.
Yeah.
But she had a backpack and there was another space right across that hers would fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, hey, do you mind if we stick this over here so I can fit my guitar up there? And the stewardess, sometimes the airline people get annoyed with guitars.
Yeah.
And she made me feel like having a guitar was like offensive or something. And
why would you even bring that?
yeah, it was just like, she was like, well, the bins are full. And I was like, oh, I think we got it figured out here. And she just didn't want me to put it up there for some reason.
Mm.
And I was just like, here, watch. And I moved it. I put my guitar up and closed it. And then I walked past her. But I honestly was not trying to be rude. I had a big smile on my face. I had just played a great gig.
Yeah.
But it just rubbed her the wrong way. And then she gave me an attitude. And then I'm there in front of everybody. And I was like, excuse me? Because the way she talked to me. And then it was this whole thing. And I was like, I can't believe I'm still capable of this right now.
Right? Isn't it wild how sometimes
all the things I have gone through.
like, we've healed so much.
And I am like talking back to a stewardess on an airplane right now. And she is, anyway, it was so embarrassing. And that was just a few weeks ago.
That's
so
funny. Well, I think it's funny how we find ourselves going. It's like default mode. And we're like, I have moments too where sometimes like my husband and I will have conversations and I'll go into default mode. And as it's happening, I'm inside. I'm like, whoa, who is this? What's happening? Like, why are you even saying these things?
Yeah, it is funny. It's very humbling.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the work never ends.
Yep, for real.
So the yoga was actually just a catalyst. And I still practice yoga almost daily. It's just become a part of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my brain is just doing yoga constantly. And so yoga was the catalyst for me getting radically honest with myself and learning how to take care of my body and noticing what foods even I would put in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a yoga class, you're just getting so in tune with your body and you're breathing and you're moving in all sorts of different shapes and stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, I just ate this and I feel terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have really noticed that unless I slowed down enough.
Mm-hmm.
And the glucose spikes of things, I just never noticed it. I never even drew the connection between what I was eating and how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Which is so strange. Like, we don't even think about the fact that the fuel we're putting in our bodies is affecting how we function in the world.
Yeah. So last year I had decided to have my hormones checked. And that was one of the things that she brought up, is she's like, you're pre-diabetic right now with the way that you're eating. And I was like, I feel like I eat okay. and you have insulin resistance. And she was like telling me all this stuff. And I was like, okay. And I have 2 kids. And so, of course, anytime someone's like, you have to think of the example you're setting for your kids. And all of this stuff starts when you're young. Like, clearly, the habits that we have are habits that didn't start just yesterday. They're things that we started when we were younger. And so she was like, you need to think about what your kids are learning about food. And so I started doing all of this research on glucose spikes and like complex carbs and all of this stuff. And the order of when you eat stuff matters. And it's so wild because I never thought of that. And same thing, it's been like paying more attention to, oh, when I eat this, I can feel my blood sugar go crazy. Or when I eat it in this order, this different order, oh my, suddenly I have so much energy and I ate the same things. I just ate them in a different order. Or I replaced one simple ingredient. So my whole thing over the past year has been finding sustainable ways to change my habits instead of doing like this complete overhaul of like, and I'm not doing any more sugar and I'm not doing any more processed food and blah, blah, blah. Cause sometimes I still like McDonald's fries, you know?
Yeah.
So just finding something that was sustainable that I could live by and making healthier choices and healthier alternatives. And then I think it was like in September, I went and had my blood sugar and some labs checked again. And she was like, you're out of the pre-diabetic range. Whatever you're doing, keep doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this feels so good because I've created this lifestyle that I can stick to instead of it being so drastic. And it was really empowering of like, cool, this actually wasn't that hard. And these were choices that I wanted to make. But I love what you said about just listening to your body and in a food aspect, how our bodies are actually really loud in what they have to say to us. It's just a matter of taking the time to be still enough to listen. But it's wild how, I mean, we think of that from a food aspect or like physical things that we're putting into our body. But another thing that I've noticed is listening to my body when I'm in certain situations or around certain people or having conversations about topics, whether I'm not interested in it or it's not building me up. I'm like starting to listen to my intuition as well. And like, okay, I actually don't feel comfortable in this situation. And honoring it and being okay with being like, okay, I'm done, or changing the subject or not being friends with somebody anymore because it doesn't feed my soul and not feeling like this huge obligation of needing to be their friend, you know?
Totally.
It's so wild.
Yeah. Part of my process when I was getting out of my anxiety, depression hole in my mid-20s, and it was like my ego was so shattered that nothing felt silly to me anymore. I was just like, I am going to draw a picture right now.
Yeah.
And I got some arts and crafts supplies and I cut pieces of construction paper, different colors. And I would start my day off with my journal and I would read a little bit of this book that changed my life. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza.
Ooh.
It really just opened my eyes to energy and congruency within myself, with my thoughts, feelings, and actions. And it woke me up to the power that I have to change my life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd read a little bit in that. I'd write my 3 things I'm grateful for, and then I would draw a picture of an intention for the day. And one of them was good company.
Oh, I like
and it's
that.
just like little stick figures. I'm not the best drawer. And,
but you knew what you meant.
Yeah. And then I just hang them up on this like string on the wall and in my little cottage in Honolulu. Yeah. And it was like starting my day off like that, just set things on the right foot. Mm-hmm. Another one was be decisive. I'm a Gemini, so making decisions is hard sometimes because I'm always playing devil's advocate. I'm always weighing both sides of everything. Mm-hmm. Every situation, I see both sides, and very much like a Libra. And I dated a Libra once, and we could never decide where to eat or anything like that.
The two of us combined.
Yeah. And then, just writing that intention picture. But I also got my integrative health coaching certificate and my yoga teacher training. I don't actively teach yoga or coach, but it just helps me and the people around me to have this knowledge. And I'm really excited about this, but I just created a piece of merch. Everybody sells hats and t-shirts and all that stuff. And it's just like, it's not doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
Maybe a really cool t-shirt.
Yeah.
I do have a cool t-shirt, but and I want to sell merch that aligns with my values and goals and just who I am. So over the last month, I created these journals.
Ooh.
And they're being made currently, so they'll be available in the next month or so.
Nice.
But they're black, leather bound with gold foil design, and I designed the cover purposely to be just spark creativity. It just has little pictures of like astronauts and dinosaurs and cute stuff, and it's like co-ed, so it's not girly.
Yeah.
And the first 27 pages of the journal, I went through all sorts of different journaling techniques that I use because I've been journaling since I, could write.
Yeah.
And it's been the most helpful tool for me. Yoga physically, but journaling is, it brings you into the present moment when you have pen to paper because you can't do anything except for what you're doing right in that moment. But it also slows your thoughts down because you can't write fast enough.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, are way faster than your hand can write. So it really allows you to check in with yourself. And it's like a meditation, basically.
Yeah.
That's why I love it so much. And I swear by it. It's changed my life, especially manifestation techniques and just journaling visualizations of who you are, who you want to be in present tense. So I have that coming out soon.
That's exciting.
It is. And one of the things that when you talked about, keeping good company and choosing the right foods, health is every aspect of our life. It's every single aspect of our life. And people don't realize that. I made a post recently about how you can't really ask for blessings in one area of your life if you're ignoring another area of your life.
I saw that.
It just doesn't really work that way because it's a slippery slope. If one of them's failing, it's pulling all the other ones down too. And so I also created this pie chart, I guess. It's just a wheel that has 12 categories of life. And I got the idea from when I got my integrative health coaching certificate, but I added more categories and I kind of changed them and made it more, I think, more inclusive. And it's just something to check in at the beginning of the journal so that you can, just take tabs for yourself and see like, okay, do any of these areas feel funny to me?
Yeah.
Or are they all thriving? It's like finances and love seem to be ones that people struggle with a lot. And it's like, I want to find my partner, but my finances are terrible. And it's like, those are two things that personally I struggled with and I'm getting the hang of. And right now I'm not seeing anybody and I'm feel really happy by myself, but I'm also really open to finding my partner. And my radar is so much healthier at this point.
Yeah.
I've done so much healing. And my relationship with my parents is better than ever. And I feel like at this point in my life, I'm only attracted to healthy people, which is so refreshing.
Yeah. It's a whole different category.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the idea of that wheel too, because it's like, I heard someone say, it's like when someone talks about blinking and they're like, well, how many times in a day do you blink? Blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden you start paying attention to how many times you're blinking. Or if somebody starts saying something about how you're breathing, all of a sudden you start paying attention to like, oh, wait, am I taking deep breaths? Am I breathing from my belly? And so sometimes there are certain things that we just are on autopilot with, and we don't even notice how we're doing in that aspect of life until someone asks us the question that's very specific, like that wheel you're talking about of like, okay, but actually, how is this? Let's take a look at it for a second. And it's like, oh, I could pay more attention to that. Or, oh, wait, actually, this is really, really good for me. I'm doing really great in this area. So I think that's really, really cool. And I think it's so cool that I don't know. I love looking back and seeing the progress. We have a tendency to just keep going and going. And then it's really cool to look back and be like, oh, whoa, look how different this is compared to 10 years ago. So like you saying, even what you're looking for or your qualifiers for a relationship are probably so different.
Oh,
and
yeah.
what it took you to get to that point and to have that be the standard, I think is really cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the spells are all broken with all the exes. It's funny. You see someone that you were with for so long sometimes, and you're just like, how?
Yeah.
And I mean, for the most part, everyone I've dated is a great person.
Yeah.
But it's just like we were really trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
And the most important thing for me right now is finding somebody who aligns with my career, because my work is God's work. I can confidently say that my life's work is important enough that it comes before the partner. And I know that sounds crazy, but my relationship with God is number one. And my work is congruent with that. And a partner that does not support that,
it just won't work.
It just would never work.
Yeah.
And I've heard it put this way too, that finding a partner with a similar dharma is the most of service, because they will understand the why behind what you're doing. And I will not settle for anything that does not support my dharma.
Well, and where you've put in so much work to not just figure that out, but to have that be in flow for you, it makes so much sense, especially where in your marriage, maybe it wasn't defined as like a belief, but just realizing like how you felt like you couldn't be your true self. So I love that that's like such a priority. It makes sense to me that that should be a priority of, this is who I am. This is a reason that I should be loved.
Totally.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes. And partnerships should feel free, I think. And I am a highly independent person. I'm also, I like to hermit, and I have to be by myself a lot of times to write and to create. And so it also takes a confident person to know that that has nothing to do with me not wanting to spend time with you. It just has to do with me doing my life's work. And sometimes that looks like me being alone for the entire day or a week even.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that is very tough on traditional relationships.
It's different for sure. I think that was one thing with like my husband and I, when we first met, that was something that we had both had a lot of conflict in our previous relationships, is we both worked a lot. That was just our choice. I had, I think like 3 jobs at the time when I met him. And it was just because for him, he was just used to working. He was a bachelor and had a lot of time. And so it just made sense. And he had a lot of responsibility in the company he was in. And so, but for me, it was a hyper independence of nobody else is going to provide for me. If I can't do this, there's nobody who's going to rescue me. Like there's no safety net here. So I have to be the one to do all of the things. And it had been an issue in a lot of our other relationships that the people we were with just didn't understand. And so for us, it like really worked in the beginning. And eventually, I mean, things have evolved now to where we have kids and that changes where you want to spend your time. But that was something that was super aligned for us in the beginning of like, hey, these are my priorities. This is where I'm going to be. Can you handle that? And I think it's really important to have that conversation in the beginning. And I think too, where he and I have done, we were a hot mess when we first met. And so for us to do a lot of the healing work together, it's been really interesting we're both have had to figure out who we are and why we are the way we are, and heal mother wounds and father wounds and past relationships and our current relationship, and then fall in love with each other again through all of that of like, okay, who are we on the other side of this? We are both such different people than when we met. And it's been really cool while we've been doing all of this work. Whenever I meet somebody who's single, I'm like, it's really cool that you're already doing this work. The bar is like set for your relationship, where ours, it was like trudging through all of this stuff. And I think for some people, it doesn't always work out on the other side for them to still be together. So it's cool that you've.
Yeah, I mean, that's so beautiful, though, that you guys have been able to do that together.
Yeah.
And you guys probably have such an amazing bond because of that.
Mm-hmm. It's been interesting to see how it's changed so many things, like even the way that we have conversations now. And it's been really cool to see how I heard this saying one time that said, men go first, women go faster. And so he was the first one to dive into self-development and the healing work. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing. This is really weird. And then I jumped into it and I got like super into the woo. And I was like, we have crystals now and we have oracle cards and we're saging the house and we're doing all this. And he thought it was so weird. And now he's the one who's like, we need to get some more Palo Santo. We're running out. And like, it's really funny to see in so many aspects, we're like completely different people than when we first met.
I love that.
It's so cool.
I was never into the woo-woo stuff. I was very practical and scientific, and I still am.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen to believe that a lot of the seemingly woo-woo stuff is actually science.
I actually saw this post recently, I think it was like yesterday, saying there are a lot of things, especially like Joe Dispenza things that people would consider super woo, but how science is now finally backing a lot of it. That it's, like you said, it's not just woo. It's not just if I believe it, it'll happen. There is scientific evidence behind it of how like our, like neurologically and emotionally, how that all lines up.
Yeah, like words and pictures and colors all have different energy. Mm-hmm. That's why tarot cards are like actually functional. And it's so strange. I actually have tarot decks that I travel with. Nice. I've got like my go-to, and they help me make decisions. They help me see things, sometimes I'll just like, show me something I need to see right now, because I feel like I've got a blind spot going, or I'm in denial about something. And it's like always gives me the right, confirmation. And I would have never, my sister was really into all the witchcraft and stuff like that when I was a kid, and I just had no idea what she was doing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, okay, there's actually some cool stuff that like is legit. And even, I played a festival last weekend on Oahu, and we had to do a Sunday service, and it was a Christian service outside in a park, and not everyone was seeing eye to eye for, their own beliefs. We have my friend Sonia, who's openly lesbian with her partner there, and she's an amazing singer-songwriter, and she just came right out and said that her relationship with God has been really tough her whole life because she was told that who she was wrong. And so her song and her take on things was beautiful. People were crying, and everybody had their own thing to contribute to it. And I realized when I was talking, I was trying not to be woo-woo, but when I was talking, I called God it. And it slipped out of my mouth, and I was just like, oh, but I just kept going, and then somebody came up to me afterwards and was like, I really appreciated you saying that, because I didn't know what to make of this whole thing, because he is atheist. But when I put it that way, it kind of made him see it different. And, I can't at this point, don't know how anyone could be an atheist, but just, because of how amazing and incredible life is, but just the laws of the universe. But I think for a long time, I called myself an atheist. I remember telling my mom in my 20s I didn't believe in God, and it broke her heart. But I guess I had to completely scratch the Catholic God that I had grown up with, because none of that made sense to me. And finding God on my own was through, life experience and energy and the laws of the universe, and the, it's not a man in the sky.
Yeah.
But my relationship is so, so strong, and I'm absolutely certain that, its work in my life
Mm-hmm.
and my alignment with it
Mm-hmm.
is why my life is so incredible
Yeah.
and blessed.
I think for me, I actually grew up Jehovah's Witness. And so same thing where there's like, here's the definition of what God is, and here's what you have to do to make him happy, and here's what he's done for you, and here's what you have to do to show up for him, and this is the only way. It was very like, this is it. There's no way around it. And so leaving that religion, same thing. It was like I had to go to ground zero and scratch everything, which was really intimidating because then it was like, well, what do I believe? And especially growing up, having somebody say this is right and this is wrong, that like black and white, to then have so much gray was like, I don't know what to do with all of this. And it was super overwhelming. Then I got to a point where I was like, ooh, instead of, I love a play on words of just switching one word changes things so drastically. And so instead of it being like, I don't know what to do with all of this, to, I get to choose. And I just think that's so beautiful. That's actually a conversation that I've had with my son. He's 6. And he was like, asking about why people believe different things and asking about church. And I was like, do you know what's really cool about where we are is that we can choose what we believe and other people get to choose what they believe. And we can listen to them and think that it's so beautiful and hear the story of why they believe what they do and how it's shown up for them in their life. And isn't that really cool that we can hear that and think, oh, that's so beautiful. Your beliefs are so beautiful. And we get to believe whatever we want. Like just because somebody else believes something doesn't mean we have to believe it. We get to choose. And that's been kind of how I've defined it for myself, is like, I love hearing what other people believe and how they've come to that. Like it's such a beautiful story to me. And I like that I also get to define, and it was the naming thing specifically of when people would be like, oh yeah, God and he and da-da-da. But for me, if I get to say the universe and not put a gender on it, for me, that feels more freeing. And it's wild how sometimes that simple terminology is like, oh, I can be okay with that actually.
Yeah.
And it opens up that door a little bit.
Totally. A lot of people have trauma around the word God, and I didn't say it for a long time. But I started saying it again recently. And sometimes when I made posts, I'd be like, God, universe, source, and say a million different ways of saying it because I want people to get the message and not be triggered by the certain word.
Yeah. I love that. Well, this has been such a fun conversation. I love this. One question that I like to ask everybody is, with everything that you've been through, all the things that you've learned about yourself, what's something that you'd like to share with someone who might be going through a similar situation?
I think the number one most important thing is befriending yourself. I mean, at this point, I am so silly with myself. We crack up. Like me and my Gemini twin, we make jokes. We're laughing all the time. We do a little dance. I talk to her in the mirror.
I love that.
Like I'm just my own best friend. And I think that is the biggest difference. And it did take a lot of introspection, and it took the yoga, and it took slowing down and journaling. And but we are our home. I'm my home. So we got to make sure everything's good at home. And just learning how to talk to myself like a friend, and not shaming myself, just being like, whoops, that was interesting. We're gonna move on from that, and we're gonna shake the shame, and we're just gonna like, it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
Like right now I'm feeling a little bit cranky because I haven't slept, but we're just gonna sleep, and tomorrow's a new day. And it's okay that, my thoughts are spiraling right now. And I was even having anxiety yesterday because I hadn't had any sleep, and I felt like I had so many things to do. I have a show coming up and need to have a certain amount of ticket sales. And then I just have a lot of things going on at once right now. And I was feeling overwhelmed, and I was like, I just need to sleep. So yeah, it's just taking care of myself and being my own best friend. And yeah.
I love that. That's such good advice. I saw this, I don't know if it was like on YouTube or something, but I saw this video one time of a woman. She had her friends come over and she had them send over a picture of themselves when they were young, maybe like 4 or 5. And she had them come over and she showed them a picture, or she asked them first, like, what are some things, like, if you don't clean the house, or if you don't get stuff done, or you don't have the kids taken care of, or like, what are some things that you're saying to yourself every day of like, ugh, I suck at this. I'm a terrible mom. I'm a terrible wife. I'm not accomplishing what I want. I'm not successful, blah, blah, blah. And she held up the picture of them when they were little. And she's like, would you say those things to this little girl? And every single woman just started, like, I started crying watching the video, because it's like, we forget that we were that we still are that person at all these different stages. And we would never talk to that version of ourselves that way. So like, why would we talk to the current version of ourselves that way?
Totally.
So I love that you said that.
Yeah, I have a friend in Nashville. She's an amazing singer-songwriter, and Emma Zink, and she has her background of her phone is a picture of her when she was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I need to steal that.
Yeah. It's such a good reminder of like how you talk to yourself is so important. And I love the idea of like, be your own best friend. Because in the end, you're going to be the one who's always with yourself. So you should be having a good time with yourself.
Totally. Yeah, I used to run from my time by myself, and now I cherish it.
Mm-hmm.
It's how I recharge.
Yeah, same thing. Well, KJ, thank you so much for doing this. I know that your schedule's been like super crazy busy. And so the fact that we could line this up was like, means a lot to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I know it felt like divine timing today.
Yeah. Though I think the fact that it all lined up so perfectly, even with that short little crunch of time, it was meant to be.
100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe and go leave a review on Apple Podcast. It helps me know what you want to hear and who I should have as a guest next. Thanks again, and until next time, keep living the life of a lotus.